Camp casting is where you cast a buff on an ally, but you're using a character that you won't take with you. So for example, I've got a druid here and I've prepared some spells. And he can go around casting Longstrider on everybody. And then I can leave him behind in camp and take who I want to take with me. So I can go and cast Longstrider on all of them and leave this druid behind. This doesn't work for every single buff. Only spells that are not concentration and last all day long are worthwhile casting. So while I can cast Jump as Enhanced Leap as a ritual, it only lasts 10 turns, so unless I'm getting out of camp really quickly, that will run out of time and I'd have to recast it. Now most of the spells are on the Druid and Cleric spell lists, and in fact you can get all but one of the spells with just those two classes alone. The one that would be missing is Mage Armor, so I'm going to go through all of the spells that you can cast on other people and then leave those characters in camp. So these are spells that do not require concentration. Since I'm with the Druid, Druids do have Good Berry, so you can give yourself a whole load of good berries, which is pretty much like giving yourself free healing items. For a Druid, I would pick Circle of the Land, because then you can actually recover spell slots, and thereby creating even more good berries. And I've already shown you Longstrider. That's a ritual, which is lovely, because then I can cast that on as many people as I like. For wizards, they also can cast Mage Armor. I will show you that later. I'll show you my wizard character leveling up later. Do also want to point out that wizards can cast Longstrider, but it's worthwhile leaving the Longstrider caster in camp, so then that wizard can prepare other spells. Wizards and sorcerers do also get dark vision. So if you've got a character such as Gale who doesn't have dark vision, you can cast it on him, but maybe I want to go over to Lae'zel and cast dark vision on her, so she can actually see where the hell she's going. Likewise at level 2, and clerics also get this, protection from poison. So you can make sure your characters are, well, protected from poison. It might not always be useful, like not every combat has poison in it, but it's good to have as a backup. Let's regenerate some of these spell slots. Now, actually, who am I going to take with me? I've got Lae'zel there. Let's bring Will as well. Two spells that clerics get that Druids do not. I'll just stick that one there. One is Aid. Now, Aid is amazing because it applies to everyone within range. But you've got to get everyone within range, which I do find is a bit of an effort. So what I'm going to do is I want to bring Gale along. So I'm going to put Gale into my party.
How can I help?
Now, I said I was going to take Will, Gale, and Lae'zel. So wherever you put your main character, Tav, they will stay in that place in camp. While you are in control of another character, they will move to that position. But as soon as I select, let's say, the cleric, Gale starts running back. Make sure you do bring along any summons. Now, as long as they're still moving, they'll keep going. Even if we pause, the other characters start walking back. So pausing, or turn-based mode, doesn't actually help. And Gale just teleported back. Thanks, Gale. Right, now I'm going to cast Aid at level 5. Ooh, make sure we get Lae'zel in there. So everyone there has now got an extra 20 hit points, including basket. Awesome. One spell unique to clerics is Warding Bond. I don't particularly like doing it this way, but I could cast Warding Bond on, say, Tav. And if I leave this cleric in camp, Tav will now take a lot less damage. Though by the time I get back to camp, this dude might have died. But that's fine, we can revive him with Shadowheart or something. At level 3, we can cast Daylight. I think this is being recorded in patch 5. It does say if you enchant an item, it only lasts 20 turns. If you put down a sphere, it will last until long rest. Now, way ahead of time, all this time, Tav has had Daylight cast on his sword. And actually, it hasn't run out. 20 turns is, what, is 2 minutes? And I probably cast this on him like 15 minutes ago before I started recording. So Daylight helps. And likewise, forgot to show it earlier, we can also cast Light. So maybe I want to cast Light on one of Will's items, it'll be his weapon. And so now Will have light emanating from his weapon. At level 4, we have Freedom of Movement and Death Ward, both of which clerics get. So Freedom of Movement means difficult terrain can't slow them down, they can't be paralyzed or restrained, which is pretty cool. And again, it lasts for a long rest, doesn't require concentration. So I'm going to cast it on the people who I think maybe might get in the most trouble. Ooh, Bards can also get this. Bards don't get very many of the buffs. And I wouldn't choose any of the half casters because the full casters just do it better. Death Ward is amazing. The next time, damage would reduce a character to 0 hit points. It remains conscious with 1 hit point instead. So let's skip this to Will. And you'll notice now I am starting to run out of spell slots. So you do have to start casting the higher level ones more strategically, or just have multiple characters who can do this. That's not a problem. Likewise, the druid here has freedom of movement. Now, I made this cleric a trickery domain cleric, so they get seeming at level 5. So seeming you can only cast on party members. So I do have Gale in the party at the moment, and Tav, and doesn't really matter who else. Now, why is this useful? Well, Disguise Self gets cast. It's randomly picked, but each character gets one use of Adjust Seeming to make them into something else you want to look like. So you can make yourself into a Githyanki to be able to benefit from the items that just benefit Githyanki, for example. Or maybe I'll not like a Githyanki. You only get one use of it. You can't adjust it again and again. Wizards also get Seeming, but wizards don't really have any high level spells they can cast. And lastly, at level 6, there are 2 spells. Right, I'm going to break these because it's really confusing me now. Hero's Feast is amazing. What it does several things. One, it increases your maximum number of hit points by 12. Look at Basket, it's got 39 hit points now. It gives you a set of feast supplies, which I don't think are generally needed, but it's nice to have. You make wisdom saves with advantage, and also you can't be poisoned, diseased, or frightened. It's an amazing buff, lasts all day. And one last level 6 spell we could potentially cast is Windwalk, but this only works on party members. You would only cast this if you want to be exploring, really, because what it does, this is only available to druids. Turns you all into, well, gaseous form. The benefit of this is you can fly around and get through any gaps and things, but you can't use any attacks. Well, okay, you can attack for 1 damage, which is basically not at all. It's good for exploration, getting around, maybe hiding and things. So if you want to go exploring like this, then go ahead. But that's not the only thing we can be doing with this camp casting idea. So I'm going to not get rid of Gale. I'm going to tell Gale to get out of my party.
Go ahead.
And then I have this hireling here. Now, I do particularly want to say that this is the halfling I'm after. We can respec the class of the hirelings, but the races we cannot. And the halfling is going to help here. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. So make her a wizard. Pick whatever cantrips you want, like is one of the spells we can camp cast. I would definitely pick Mage Armor, and you may as well go with some of these other spells we can camp cast. So like Long Strider, that's pretty much it. Now, she's going to be staying in camp. We don't need her outside of camp. I'm putting Intelligence up as high as possible, just so she can prepare as many spells as possible. Also, I'm going to make her wisdom as high as possible. And importantly, make sure she has proficiency in medicine. So we're going to level her up, get her up to level 6. At level 2, you must, but the best idea is to pick the Transmutation subclass. As for the spells, pick whatever. She's not going to be outside of camp. These aren't too important. At level 2, you could also get her to pick Dark Vision to spread out the use of spell slots throughout your camp casters, and then anything else you want, really. Perhaps you want to bring her out to open some chests or something. At level 4, pick whatever. Again, the spells don't matter too much. Now, for the feat, what you want to be doing is actually upgrading her wisdom as much as possible. And the reason for this, if it's already passed on the level up screen, but at level 2, the Transmutation wizards can double the number of potions made if they pass a wisdom medicine check. So we want to make that skill as high as possible. I mean, for level 3 spells, there aren't any wizard level 3 spells that can be camp cast. And then we get to level 6. This is really what we wanted from this character. You can create a stone. I'll show you the different types of stone. If a character is holding a stone, they get a buff. I would then pick 1 level in Rogue. The reason for this is we get to pick expertise in 1 skill that we are already proficient in. Gonna make that medicine, so now it's up to a +10 bonus here. I would then pick Druid, just so I can create more good berries if I want, but 1 level of Druid will do. And then all the other levels will go into Sorcerer. This is mostly just to be able to twin spells, twin good berry, so we can create even more. The cantrips, whatever you want, it doesn't really doesn't matter. I've already got light. We've already got most spells from being a wizard anyway. I would go with Draconic Bloodline. Let's have another ritual always prepared. Pick Shield. Importantly, twins. The others don't matter, because for the buffs, they last until long rest anyway, so extended doesn't help. Distant and Careful don't really apply to us, to buffs. At level 3, I would pick Enhance Ability, so she can actually do the medicine checks with advantage. And so Enhance Ability, and again, these don't really matter. I'll go with Quicken Spell just in case she gets into combat or something. Again, doesn't matter. Maybe Invisibility, and one more time, Wisdom up to 20. So what she's going to do is cast Enhance Ability with Wisdom on herself, and then we can get the Cleric or Druid to cast Guidance on her. This is why I had it prepared down here. And as a halfling, she will re-roll any 1s, and the only way she can fail these checks is with a 1, but she's rolling with advantage and re-rolling 1s, So I would say the chances of you failing one of these checks is very, very small. So let's say I want a potion of speed. Say a medicine check has been done. The DC is 15, 18 with advantage. Awesome. Maybe I want an elixir of viciousness or elixir of bloodlust. They're pretty awesome, aren't they? Oh, look at that. I succeeded. Elixir of invisibility. I want some drow poison. Succeeded, succeeded, succeeded. We're literally, almost literally going to never fail. And so now in her inventory, we've got 2 lots of every single potion we just created. Or 4 in the case of Drow Poison, because I tried to create it twice. For the Transmuter Stone, we can give someone proficiency in Constitution saving throws. Give someone Dark Vision, but we've done that with a spell, so I would ignore that one. Create a stone that increases the carrier's movement speed by 10 feet. That's pretty awesome. These others give resistance to a particular type of damage, so acid, or cold, or fire, or lightning, or thunder, but you can only create 1 stone. So I'm going to create the Constitution saving throw proficiency stone, and I can... Oh, it says invalid target. Well, I can just pass it along. I just want to point out I can't twin the Transmuter Stone. Let's just give that to Tav. So he's got the Transmuter Stone, and I can send that to Gale. So Gale's now got it. So yes, I would cast Mage Armor. So Gale doesn't have to keep it prepared or use a spell slot for that. And then we can go about creating all the good berries you want. I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to get a bit bored doing it. I might do some, but I can twin good berry to create twice as many. 2 items received. And since this is a transmutation spell, she can now make another stone, but if you make a stone, it destroys the old one. If you're into using probably what I would suggest is a bug with the Transmuter Stone, what you can do, get your Transmuter Wizard, make sure they have Long Strider, and you can regenerate the use of a Transmuter Stone. So currently she has the increased movement speed by 10 feet. And you can notice we've got the buff. In fact, the sharp-eyed among you will notice she's actually got 3 buffs at the moment. So if I send this to camp, she doesn't lose the buff. And so then I can pick one that she doesn't already have. So she's got proficiency in Constitution saving throws, she's got Dark Vision, she's got extra movement speed. Maybe I want to give her resistance to acid. Oh, there it pops. We'll send you to camp. Cast Long Strider. And we'll give ourselves resistance to cold damage. Oh, there we go. Goodbye, go to camp. Now, when you go to the camp traveler's chest, I should skip forward here, there's only ever 1 Transmuter Stone. So if I come back to here, get her to create 1 more. And let's go along to fire resistance. The old stone is gone, but she keeps the buff. And you can see I've actually cast the Transmuter Stone on Gale twice while testing it out. He's got these buffs. I'm not suggesting you have to do this or should do this, but it's just an interesting piece of information, I thought. Now, I'm not advocating that you do this every single time you long rest with every single spell. I'm just letting you know what you can do, that you can camp cast. This all works in honor mode as well. There's nothing preventing it from working in honor mode. Whether you want to use it for honor mode, again, up to you. I'm not saying you have to, but you even should. Just giving you the option. So that's my casual tip for the day. Camp casting, buff up your party, and I didn't buff everyone with every buff, but you get the point. We're going to be very difficult to kill now. Actually, let's leave. Let's just show you that this does work outside camp. So yeah, here we are. We have got all the buffs, and we do not have any of the people who cast the buffs in the party, so we get the full benefit without any drawbacks apart from the time taken, and maybe a few hundred gold. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.
Witnessed assaulting someone. You're headed for the cells.